I'm here at the beach, and when we look at this beautiful beachfront properties, it made me realize how I can have one sometime in the future. So the question I ask myself is, how can I make this beachfront property a part of my portfolio? How do I afford it? Now, the next question I would ask myself is it a liability or is it an asset? Because to own a beachfront property in front of a beach, it is high price of a it is high price, right? Because it's the way it is. You're facing the beach. Now, to be able for me to afford it, it has to be an asset. An asset puts money into my pocket. A liability takes money from my pocket. So the question I would ask myself, how could a beachfront property be an asset? So there are several things that I thought of while reminiscing, contemplating, thinking here in front of this beautiful beach in Ocean City, Maryland. So the first thing I thought was to do, or is to do, an Airbnb. Now, with Airbnb, that is a service industry. And look, there's actually a yellow boat. And that's what I love the beach, because the scenery keeps changing. Look at that boat. And I have a lifeguard and people exercising, running around, people playing. Look at that yellow speedboat. So with Airbnb, it's a service industry. So that means I have to operate like a hotel. And do I really want to be like a hotel, especially when I'm starting, when I'm a beginner? Because then you don't have the economy, or I don't have the economy of scale. So that's my number one question. Number two, if I'm in the Airbnb space, would I be able to survive a recession? Because what happens during a recession? Now, your regular Airbnb customers, the first thing that they would let go of is leisure, travel and leisure. So would I be willing to sacrifice my own money to pay for the liability? So what are the liabilities, the expenses in owning a property if you're doing an Airbnb? Number one is mortgage. Number two, property taxes. Property taxes in front of a beach is costly. Third, insurance, because you're right in front of the beach. You would have to ask yourself, flood coverage or hurricanes. So would I be able to pay for those while my property is vacant, especially during a recession? So these are the things that I ask myself today. Would I be able to do an Airbnb if I do buy an asset or a liability in front, a property such as these nice properties in front of a beach? Second that I thought of was owning several levels. You could have one building and several levels, have a long-term tenant pay for it. Now the question I ask myself is, would my long-term tenant be able to afford to pay for the rent? Because the rent in front of the beach is very high. I mean, you're not gonna give it away for free because you're buying these properties at a costly expense as well, at a costly price. Third, you could have your own space and you could have the first floor as a commercial, where you could have like a retail. It could either be a shop, and then at some of the times you could have second and third floor. Second floor would be an apartment, and a third floor would be your own space. So these are just some of the things that I was thinking of in purchasing, in owning an asset or a liability. How can an asset pay for all the expenses? Because if an asset does not cannot pay for the expense, it becomes a liability. And how does it become an asset? A property becomes an asset if the money is not coming from your own pocket. It's the money coming from your tenant's pocket. If you are vacant because of recession, or because it's not a good season to rent out. Look at the airplane right there. Look. So I would have to carry for that expense. So these are just some of the things that I wanted to share with you while I'm contemplating here on this beautiful beach in Ocean City, Maryland. And I came here to look at properties, to look at real estate. Wherever I go, I always look at properties. And then I compare it to my location. Is it a good buy here in this new state, in this new place? Or is it much better to invest my money in my location where I know the job market, the location, where I have the economy of scale? Or should I create more economy of scale in a new state? Now, if you want to know more, come follow me. My name is Ria. I'm a family medicine physician, a geriatric physician, and ex-physician. And now I invest in apartments. I wrote the book, Apartment Prescription. So let us go. Well, cannot wait.